All right, guys. So the next team we're going to be previewing is going to be the LSU Tigers. Coming off a somewhat disappointing year last year, they put up some really good numbers, but didn't quite reach the potential that they had, because they had 3 first-round picks this year. They lose those guys, obviously, so they're going to need to reload. Jayden Daniels, the obvious one, former Heisman winner. You also lost your 2 receivers, Malik Nabers, Thomas Jr. Had a few defensive linemen go later in the draft as well, so you're going to have to reload this year. But LSU is definitely one of the teams that benefits the most, I think, from playoff expansion. Because looking at their schedule last year, you can see it on your screen now, not really any bad losses. You got that Florida State loss at the beginning of the year. Not a bad loss. We saw how good Florida State ended up being. Lost to Ole Miss by single digits. That wasn't a bad loss. Ole Miss was a top 10 team. Lost to Alabama. Alabama made the playoff. So if we would have had an expanded playoff last year, even though you had those 3 losses as LSU, they still would have been in that playoff discussion probably for that last spot because you beat Missouri, so you kind of hold that edge over them probably. But they have a really favorable schedule this year. We'll get to that here in a little bit. We'll talk about, their transfers coming in, the recruits coming in, kind of what they look like this year. But the main thing is going to be replacing Daniels. All right, you've got Garrett Nussmeier as the guy now at quarterback. Had a pretty good game, I thought, in their bowl game. Pretty good performance from him in his kind of one game starting completely. 395 yards, you can see it down there. But I think he's pretty good. He stayed at LSU for a little bit for a reason, being the backup, kind of leading up to this point. Now, you do lose, like I said, those 2 wideouts. We'll talk about who they have replacing them in a minute. But you bring back some of the linemen. You bring back your 2 tackles in particular, 2 of the best offensive tackles in the nation. So let's go ahead and look ahead to next season. All right, so looking at the recruits coming in, this year they got coming in a lot of 4 stars here. The number 7 recruiting class overall. Not sure any of these guys are going to completely impact right away. I don't know if there are any first starting freshmen right off the bat, true freshmen, but a lot of impact players that can eventually help you out for sure. And then looking at the transfer portal, here's what they've got coming in here as well. Now, this isn't the best transfer portal class. I think it's 39th overall, but it is filling some serious pieces that they need filling. So like I said, they lost some D linemen to the draft. They've got that coming in. But the main 2, C.J. Daniels coming over from Liberty, put up some really impressive numbers there last year. And then Xavier Thomas coming over from Mississippi State. Those should be their 2 receivers going forward this year. Nussmeier's 2 main weapons to replace Nabers, And so they should definitely have an instant impact. You bring in Osbury from Auburn, a safety. Bring in Ohio State transfer. Brown at corner, bringing an A&M transfer at safety, and then A.J. Swan obviously coming over to be the backup quarterback and maybe the potential future quarterback coming over from Vanderbilt. But some Power 5 guys coming over in the secondary, some wide receivers that are going to instantly impact you and give Nussmeier some weapons. I think they did what they needed to do in the transfer portal. While it's not the prettiest class, not the sexiest class, they kind of filled the needs that they had. So looking at their schedule here, going into next year, I think they do have a favorable schedule. I think it does benefit them. Like I said, going forward in the expanded college football playoff, they could definitely be in the discussion for one of those 12 teams. But looking at it, all right, you start off the year with USC. That one's not a gimme. All right, that one is going to be tough, especially since it's not really a home game for either one of you. It's just a neutral site game in Las Vegas. I think they should be USC, though. USC should have talent. Under Lincoln Riley, they're always explosive offensively, but you lose Caleb Williams. Might take a little bit to adjust, and having your first game against LSU for Miller Moss shouldn't be good for USC. I think LSU gets the win there. That puts you at 1-0. Next up, you got Nichols. That's 2-0 right there. That's an easy win. At South Carolina. South Carolina loses a bunch, in particular Spencer Rattler. I think that's an easy win. Puts you at 3-0. You've got UCLA. That should be an easy win as well. UCLA is kind of going through a lot right now. That'll put you at 4-0. South Alabama puts you at 5-0. Luckily for you, you get a bye week going into Ole Miss, which is going to be one of your top 2 toughest tests of the season. But going in 5-0 with a bye week should benefit LSU, especially since it's at home. But I think Ole Miss is eventually probably going to be able to win this game. I think they're going to be a little too talented for LSU. But this is going to be a really good game. I can't wait for this one. But give me Ole Miss in that one, so that puts LSU at 5-1. At Arkansas, that should be an easy one. Arkansas is going through a bunch. That puts you at 6-1. Traveling to Texas A&M, they're going through a lot as well. They lost a ton of pieces last year. You should win that one. Put you at 7-1. You've got another bye before Alabama, and I think is really going to benefit them. LSU, they've got Alabama and Ole Miss at home and after bye weeks. Don't be surprised if they win one of those games, but I'm going to have them losing both of them here just for argument's sake, but I think they're definitely going to pull out one of those Ole Miss or Alabama games. So that puts you at 7-2. All right, going into Florida, that should be an easy win as well. Florida's going through a lot, similar to Arkansas. Puts you at 8-2. Vanderbilt, that's an easy win. 9-2. Then you get Oklahoma at home again. Oklahoma, though, I don't think deserves to be ranked this year. They won't be. I think they're going to be a down team this year. They lose Dylan Gabriel to Oregon. They're going to be going through a lot, so I don't think they're going to win or be very good. So give me LSU there. So your only two losses are going to be Ole Miss and Alabama. But again, I think they definitely can win one of those ball games. But as of right now, I've got them losing it. As far as the SEC championship goes, I don't think they'll make it because there's going to be other teams with better records that, like some teams avoid each other. Missouri, Ole Miss. There's some teams that avoid each other out of Georgia, Alabama, Missouri, and Ole Miss that I think is going to benefit their record, which might benefit LSU here. Because like I said, 2 losses is getting you in the college football playoff in the SEC. So I think LSU is definitely in college football playoff contender right now. If they only lose to Alabama and Ole Miss, they'll be in the college football playoff as long as Alabama and Ole Miss live up to the hype. But don't be surprised if they win one of those games and only have 1 loss going in to the playoff, and probably put you in the SEC championship with 1 loss. But as of right now, I've got them at 10-2 with losses to Ole Miss and Alabama, probably making the college football playoff. I think they're set up for success this year. Nussmeier, I saw enough in the bowl game to be impressed with him. I think they'll be just fine without Daniels. But let me know your thoughts on LSU down in the comment section. Do you think they can make the college football playoff? Let me know what you think their record's going to be. Let me know. Comment down below. Make sure to like this video. And most importantly, subscribe.